Remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason plot. I know no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Yours truly, Brevin Thompson, here to talk about V for Vendetta. Directed by James McTeigue and screenplayed by the Wachowskis and starring Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving. So this takes place sometime in the near future in the UK, where a totalitarian government has taken over the UK, and they've outlawed art, they've outlawed like same-sex relationships, and there's a harsh curfew, and these men known as fingers are corrupt, and these guys are pretty much Nazis, and they're racist, and like I said, they're against like same-sex relationships. They take them to concentration camps, and they get tortured and killed. So yeah, bunch of crazy shit. But now we have this man named V who is kind of against this government, and since this government has labeled him as a terrorist, he is actually wanting to help these people rise up against this government. This is a fantastic movie, and I remember watching this back when I was a kid, and at first I never really truly got it, because, I remember watching this with my dad as a kid, and I liked the action sequences, and that was probably the only thing that I liked about the movie as a kid. And the thing about V for Vendetta is not only is it a good movie, it's a great comic book adaptation, but the thing about it is that it doesn't really get the respect it deserves as a great film, because this came out, this came out in a post 9/11 time, back in 2006, and critics back then, some criticized it mostly because of its depiction of terrorism, and I'm like, really? I even looked up reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and it has a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, that's kind of low for this type of movie, and I'm like, this should at least get like a 90, because it is that damn good. Not only because it has like great action sequences and everything, but it has a great story as well. And one of my favorite things about V for Vendetta is the chemistry between Hugo Weaving and Natalie Portman's characters. They are great together, and I love every scene with them together, and excellent chemistry, and it's one of the few reasons that people should watch the movie. And the way that the story unfolds and everything, I love how everything plays out from start to finish, and how the film portrays V as a sympathetic character, even though what he does, committing like acts of terrorism, like blowing up buildings and everything. He does have a reason for what he is doing. And I know, there's a lot of people that agree with what he is doing, and there are a lot of people that disagree with what he is doing, and a lot of people think what he's doing is completely wrong, because, what he's trying to do is trying to help the people of London, rise up against this government. And while his methods are, involve blowing up buildings and shit, once you know about his backstory of what he's been through, you begin to understand why he would do things like that. And everything about Natalie Portman's performance as Evie is amazing, and I love her in this role. And one of the some of the best scenes, like I said, some of the best scenes are mostly with her and V. And one of the other best scenes was when she's imprisoned and what she believes is interrogated by this government. V staged it just to relieve her of her fear. And during all that, she gets this note out of toilet paper from a prisoner that that was also like tortured and eventually killed in the same concentration camp that V was in. She was put there mostly because of her sexuality as a lesbian, and once we, and it plays this like this heartbreaking flashback sequence of this woman's backstory of like how she came out to her parents and exploring her sexuality and her life as an actress and everything leading up to her imprisonment and eventual death. And she passed this letter to V, and basically it starts a revenge story. And it also like, well, and this one scene of which we see V take his mask off and smash the mirror, and he starts crying. Well, we don't see his face. We never really see what he looks like under his mask. So his hair mostly covers his face, and I like that they keep what he looks like sort of a mystery, because we see that, his hands are like completely burnt. His whole body is completely burnt, so we don't know what he looks like under his mask. So they keep it a mystery, and that's one of the few things that I like about this movie. Like we don't really know who this character is, but we know his motivations and what he wants to do. Also, the visual effects and the special effects for this film are amazing even to this day. Using miniatures for the explosions, and holy shit, it is some of the best work I've ever seen in a film. Use of miniatures is something that's very rare for films now these days, because mostly we rely on like computers and things like that. But this film mostly doesn't rely on computers, and there are some moments where you can say, yeah, that's computer and everything, but you don't care because it's such a damn good movie. And how everything plays out in the finale, holy shit, it is one badass action sequence. And V gets one of my favorite lines in the film: "Ideas are bulletproof." Almost every line that he says is quotable, and he's such an amazing character. Overall, it's a great film with such great characters and a great story, and it's one of the best comic book adaptations of all time. And it really doesn't really get the respect that that it deserves, because it is a great film, and I'm gonna give V for Vendetta a very well deserved A+. I just recently finished watching this on Netflix. If you haven't seen this movie, do yourself a favor and watch it as soon as you can. It is worth your time. Definitely check this out. And also, if you are a comic book fan, if you haven't read the graphic novel, I highly recommend that you do, because it is amazing. So, what were your thoughts on V for Vendetta? Let me know in the comment section below. And I had a hell of a time reviewing this movie as well as watching it. Because it's been a while since I've watched the movie, so since it's November 5th, I figure why not review V for Vendetta? So yeah. So thank you so much as always for watching. I'm looking forward to doing more reviews very soon. And if you want my thoughts on old or new movies, you know where to find me.